All right, let's talk about something we all see constantly but almost never read, the privacy notice. We usually think of it as just a boring legal thing, but it's actually a huge clue about how much a company respects you and your data. So let's get into it.
So let me ask you something and be honest. When was the last time you hit I agree without even glancing at the privacy policy? If you're like me, it was probably 5 minutes ago. We all do it. Just scroll right past that wall of text to get to whatever we wanted to use.
And here's the thing, that's not on you. It's not some personal failing. You didn't skip it because you don't care about privacy. The real problem isn't us, the users. It's the policies themselves. So, okay, why are these things so impossible to read? Well, let's get into it. The main issue is that they're written by lawyers for lawyers, not for the actual people whose privacy is on the line. This right here, this is the problem. It's all this vague legal jargon. Phrases like processed under applicable laws. I mean, what does that even mean? It tells you absolutely nothing. But when a company says, hey, we keep your data for 3 years to comply with tax laws, bam, that's clear, that's specific, and that's how you build trust. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it starts by completely changing how we think about these documents. A privacy notice shouldn't just be a legal form to check off. It's got to be something more. You see, a really great privacy notice isn't a legal document. It's a promise. It's a company making a public commitment about how it's going to handle your personal information with honesty and respect. So with that idea of a promise in mind, let's start breaking this down. A clear policy should basically tell you a story about your data, a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. And that story, it's really simple. It just needs to answer 3 basic questions. What information are you collecting? Why are you collecting it? And who else gets to see it? Let's tackle these one by one. So, Chapter 1. What are they actually collecting? A good notice won't just throw a giant, messy list at you. No, it'll break things down into easy-to-understand categories. Identity info, contact info. And here's a really important part. It'll tell you what's mandatory and what's purely optional. All right, next up, the why. This is where you can spot a lot of red flags. If you see something like, to improve user experience, be skeptical. That could mean literally anything. But when they say, we use your email to respond to your support queries, that's different. It's simple, direct, and honest. And what about sharing? You have a right to know where your data is going. A good policy won't just list a bunch of corporate names you've never heard of. Instead, it groups partners by what they do, like payment processors or cloud hosting. That way, you actually understand why your data is being shared, which is what really matters. Okay, so they've got your data, they're using it, they're sharing it. But then what? Do they just get to keep it forever? That's a huge question, and one that often gets ignored. A company that's truly transparent is going to be super upfront about this. They're not just going to hang on to your information indefinitely for no good reason. They'll tell you exactly how long they keep it and what happens to it after that time is up. And again, it all comes down to being specific. For as long as required, that's just a lazy, meaningless phrase. But for 3 years after your last login to comply with accounting regulations, now that is a real answer. It gives you a clear timeline and a reason you can actually understand. Now we get to my favorite part, the most empowering part of a good privacy notice, because it's not just about what a company does with your data. It's about what you can do. It's about your rights, your rules. So any decent privacy notice, especially with laws like GDPR out there, has to clearly spell out your rights. And these aren't just nice to haves. They are your fundamental rights. The right to see your data, to fix mistakes, to have it erased, and to tell a company to just stop using it. But look, just listing those rights on a page means absolutely nothing if you can't actually use them.
So the most important thing here is that they have to give you a real, easy, accessible way to take action. So what does that real way look like? Well, you're not looking for some generic contact form that goes into a black hole. You're looking for a dedicated email, something like privacy@company.com. Even better, a named role, like a privacy officer. That tells you somebody is actually accountable. Okay, so when you put all of this together, it becomes pretty clear that a privacy notice is so much more than just a little checkbox you have to tick to get on with your day.
And yeah, it's true. Big privacy laws all over the world, like GDPR in Europe, CCPA in California, and DPDPA in India, they all legally require companies to be this clear. And the fines for getting it wrong are huge. But here's the thing. The really great companies, they're not doing this just because they're afraid of getting fined. They write clear, human-centric privacy notices because they genuinely believe it's the right way to build a trustworthy relationship with you. It's about respect, not just rules. So we come right back to that central idea, don't we? A good privacy notice is a public promise. It's the company's commitment out there for everyone to see about how they'll treat your information. And really, what it all boils down to is this. The quality of a privacy notice tells you everything you need to know about a company's values. If it's confusing and full of legal jargon, they see your privacy as a chore. But if it's clear, honest, and helpful, that's a signal that they actually respect you. So the next time you're staring at that I agree button, you'll know what to look for. A clear story about your data, specific time limits for keeping it, and an obvious way for you to take control. A privacy notice is a window into a company's values. So, what will you be looking for?